Hi everyone, I'm Ricardo Gonsalves. Well, with Apple's $10 billion share buyback and dividend plan announced, one big question has been answered, but now another has emerged, and that is, which is the next big technology giant with the massive war chest to also reward shareholders with regular payments? Now, Apple has been sitting on a wad of cash for years, $95 billion to be exact. Some had suggested the iPhone maker should help Europe and buy Greece, for example, while others touted a mass acquisition like Twitter. But instead, Apple decided to return some of that money to its shareholders. Starting next year and for 3 years, it will seek to buy back $10 billion, and that essentially gives it more control of the company because there'll be fewer shares on issue. Scott Kessley, the chief technology analyst at S&P Capital, says the company's plan seems sound.
We think that what Apple is doing here makes a lot of sense, and one of the reasons is because essentially they can in fact pay a 1.8% indicated dividend. They can buy back shares, and they can have one of the most exciting growth stories across not only all of the technology sector, but arguably the markets as a whole.
For the first time in 17 years, Apple will pay a dividend. $2.65 per share will be paid out to shareholders per quarter. Michael Gade, the chief investment strategist at Pension Partners, notes that sometimes, though, investors can perceive dividend payments as a bad thing.
In general, tech companies, when they initiate dividends, it's not really seen as a positive because the implication is, well, then they can't find other growth opportunities. And technology as a sector tends to be a growth sector.
Now, the dividend plan will cost Apple around $10 billion a year, which is easily covered by the $15 billion it makes in cash every quarter. Here's Howard Silverblatt, a senior indexed analyst at S&P Indices.
Technology does pay relatively well now. It's difficult to grasp that if you go back about 15 years ago, but I think it came of age in 2003 with Microsoft, and this is a continuation of that.
Apple's dividend sees it pay out a 1.8% yield, much lower than that of telcos AT&T and Verizon, as well as Microsoft and Hewlett-Packard. It is, though, more than Cisco, IBM and Oracle.
The dividend yield, I believe, is supposed to be about 1.8%. The 10-year Treasury is at about 2.3%. Maybe investors may say, well, Apple's as solid as it comes, almost as risk-free as U.S. government debt. Why should I hold U.S. Treasury paper when I can instead hold Apple?
The big question is, which company is likely to be next to follow Apple's lead? Google, Amazon and eBay all hold on to any profits they make with no dividend paid.
Google is the largest company currently, has enormous cash and has the ability. So what you would need in that case is for them to decide to do, just as Apple made the decision to do it.
The guys at Moody's estimate Google's cash reserves at $44 billion. Apple, like many other technology companies, hold on to cash overseas to avoid American taxes, and they're also under pressure to retain a solid balance sheet to drive further research and fund acquisitions to drive growth and product development. For Apple, though, overnight, investors rewarded the company, driving its shares almost 3% higher to close above $600 for the first time, cementing it as the world's biggest publicly listed company by market cap.